Okay, we're at the very north end of the layout looking south. There's approximately 40 feet from one end to the other. And you can see the yard line exits. You can see an Amtrak on a bridge that's on the main line. That's the southbound train. Across the Addison River Bridge sits a Santa Fe passenger that's also southbound. We'll swing the camera now from the east to the west, and we're going to be on the extreme north end of the layout. As it comes into view, you'll see some real-time construction going on. And construction is always a mess, so you see all kinds of things laid on the table. This particular building is designated as the Cameron, Colorado Station. Coming in where this Santa Fe freight engine sitting is the Dion bypass, and it comes in to the station. We're going to stop, move the camera again, and take a shot looking from the west end to the east. But we're going to focus close on the Cameron station for just a moment. Let's do a close-up of the station. In fact, let me turn some lights on for it. Okay. Let me light it up. Let me turn on some signal lights. How are we doing on time on that film? Running out. All right, you ready? You want to come in by this station or a little closer? Can you see it there? Maybe here, where you can get this light. Right here.
I've got everything. I've got everything. Everything.
Okay, well, here's one little bell. I'll turn this sign around. So you have to see.
Okay.
And we win.
Okay, we're filming. We're good.
All right, guys, we're looking at the Cameron station, the Dion bypass, and we have the lights turned on. So these are surface mount LED lights, white lights, and they give the effect of fluorescent lighting really good. Yard lights, they're little incandescent bulbs. Signal lights for the train. This tells any engine coming westbound that they have to stop because this turnout is not ready, not turned in their direction. They would derail, so they have to stop. The area on the south side of the station is the other two yard tracks, and this is shelf liner. We use that to cover the tracks when we're putting plaster on. So these have what's called an initial coat of plaster. There's some cheesecloth. Cheesecloth is used to strain fruits, things when you're canning fruit, strawberries and so forth. Plaster on top of this. This is the main line. We've got it covered too, so we don't get plaster on it, because plaster doesn't come off once you get it covered. We're going to move the camera to another position. So we're going to stop. We're looking now from the west to the east. You can see the Cameron Station. You can see all the junk that's in there that we're using, the materials we're using for the soil and so forth. And as the camera pans around, we're picking up the yard, 2 tracks from the yard. This is one of them. They split. Well, they just come up right down by the Cameron Station. And this is one of them. And the other one is this track. And from that, there's some turnouts that will feed some industry. There's a turnout right there, and there's no track in there, but one will come out and it will go down that direction. As we pan around with the camera, you can see, let's go to the what we call the transition track. This is a transition track. You say, what is a transition track? Well, it's a necessary item because we have some electrical conflicts with the circuitry. This transition allows us to overcome those. And that transition is operated manually from a control panel, which we're going to pan around. This is the other yard track that comes in. It goes down to a crossover. Now the crossover allows a train to go from one track to the other, either direction. From the crossover, we're going to ask the camera, Steve, to focus in on this group of wiring. And this is some of the signal wiring that feeds various parts of the layout. This is a turnout motor. This is what actuates the turnout to move open or closed. It's called a tortoise. That's the name of it. In fact, the camera can focus on this one. Can you get that number 4 turnout I'm pointing to? We'll show you one later, but that's a machine that's underneath there that operates the switch to make it change. Move the camera pointing down to the south again, on the west side. Now we're looking at active construction of wiring. So you see that we have lots of tools, lots of connectors. It's a mess when we do this, and there's no way to get around it. If you look at the panels, this is some of our control panels. Oops, I went the screwdriver. And then, Steve, if you can focus in on this connection board here where we have this wiring and so forth. And you can see some of the circuitry involved in making these lights change and the turnouts work and so forth. We want to activate this crossover. We want to change the directions of it. We'll throw that switch. You'll see the light go bright when the switch is in the proper position. And that tells us, that light tells us which way that turnout's going to go. Without that, we wouldn't know. All right, let's pan the camera down to the south end and then we'll move it again. I'm standing at what would be the south end of the west side, and you can see we have a building here. It'll be placed in there and there'll be some tracks that go to it. Okay, can we move the camera? Okay. Now we've moved over to what we call the center area of the layout. This is actually between the east and west sides. I'm pointing at the west side now, and you can see the construction. 2x4 pieces, Homosoap board, turnout machines, the tortoise machines, lots of wiring through there. We'll just pan around, and you can see the complexity of the wiring and the hookup. All right, I'm going to bring my pointer back over. We're going to focus in a little section here. You can see this would be under construction, so to speak. There's no scenery, but you can see the 2x4s. Now, Steve cut all these 2x4s, and they're at various heights, so the track goes from one height to another. And you see the numbers and the chalk lines, those represent which 2x4 goes where. That's how we knew. Following around, we're gonna, we have to stop the camera, Steve. Stop the camera and then let's reposition.
Go.
Okay, we just changed positions with the camera. We're looking at the camera in Colorado Station from the south view. 2 yard tracks are down where my pointer is. Main line, you can see again construction, and we've put some styrofoam blocks in here that we'll build our cheesecloth off. Here's some you can see at this point. Coming back, we're going to pan now from the camera in Colorado Station back to the west, and we'll pick up, you'll see the Santa Fe passenger train that's sitting on the track on the Addison bridges. So we're going to stop a minute. Oh, cameraman's rolling. And when you get to the first bridge, you focus in, you'll see some cattle we've got grazing down here. And this is under the bridge over the Addison River. Got some foliage, some grass. Camera's going to swing south, following the main line. You'll see a Santa Fe engine with the lights on the rear of the engine. As the camera progresses south, you'll pick up an Amtrak train, and you'll pick up a Amtrak car sitting on the track with a red light on it. Also, you'll see a river. We haven't named that yet. It's the Addison River is back toward the north, and that's a little tributary that feeds into it. Looking to the south, we'll pick up the yard. Now we'll move down with the camera just a little bit, and we'll show you some points of interest. Now we're looking at the Amtrak on the bridge over the yard exit tracks, northbound, and you can see we have a dry creek bed in here. I haven't named that, but we'll come up with something appropriate. And following to the south, going to focus in on some wiring. I'm going to lift the board up, and this allows you to see more wiring. Another pull-out board that has wiring for turnouts. Moving south, another pull-out board that has some of the computer controls on it. We only have two circuit boards on this panel. The other pull-outs have 4. Again, some buildings that you saw from the east side of the yard. We'll move the camera south now, so we may have to reposition it. We've changed positions on the camera. We're now at the south end, looking north. Again, you can see the yard. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is a red bypass. This is actually called the CC main line. It's named after one of our cats. This track allows the train to go all the way through the yard, sort of a mainline yard track. Got a caboose with the red light on. Another caboose with a red light on. We put those, I put those red lights in there. I set the circuitry and allows them to light up. All right, we're going to do a camera change. We're going to show you one more piece of the control computer circuitry on it. We've moved the camera to the north end of the track. This is in the area where the Cameron Station and the Dion bypass are. These are the heart of the digital control. These are the computer circuit boards. We have 2, 3, 4 of them in this pullout. Now Steve handles all of this. He's installed all this, done the wiring on it. You can see the good job on the wiring. You get the camera down there. Very complex, a lot of circuits involved here. These are the computer boards that control the commands to the engines. So this is just one of several boards that we use on the layout. Okay, Steve, I think we'll stop at that point. Okay, fellas, we've done a camera change. We thought we'd go ahead and show you the workshop area that's in the building with the train. 2 tables constitute this area, and we'll just swing around. In the camera, you can see some of the equipment we have, power supplies, voltmeters, soldering irons, various tools. Now, this is not laid out. You should not let your room get in this kind of mess. You're supposed to keep your things up. Well, I do occasionally, but sometimes when we're working, it's hard to do that. So we're just going to follow around and let you see. We use magnetic strips that we buy at Harbor Freight, and they're very convenient. We can put our screwdrivers and so forth. Anything that's a metal, of course brass stuff won't work, but it's a good place to keep your things. Have a lot of junk scattered across here because we're working on things. So we don't clean it up until we're really finished with the project. And we're going to move down. This is a short work table. Incidentally, all of our tables roll, so we can move them around, which is a very neat thing we learned over the years. You put all this stuff on rollers and you can move it. But primarily, this workbench I use if I'm working on some plastic models, so forth. Kind of keeps everything separate. We're going to swing the camera. This would be on what would be the east side. We're going to swing it to the west wall of the building. And I think the camera will pick up. You can see that we have sorted pieces of styrene material, strips, things that represent construction materials used on the building. So that's our styrene inventory. In our shelving we have little Acromills boxes, and they have various things. And this is a lumber section for the train, so we'll have various pieces of lumber. And going up, you can see some more storage. That's lumber. Another building. This is the Glacier Gravel Company building. It will go on the layout. It's like a big gravel processing plant where they load, process rock and gravel. And just coming down, you see various things that we have. We have switches and wiring and lights, etc., etc. I'll give you an idea of what we have out here for the way of tools. We have a 2-way radio that allows us to communicate back into the house. So Joan, if your grandmother needs me, she can holler at me on the radio. Okay, I think that concludes that. Thank you. You guys enjoy it.